Hello there boys and girls. In today's video, we will be making something known as a profile card. But first, let's look at some examples to understand what exactly I'm talking about. In general context, if you have ever indulged in Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh cards, you will have noticed that they have a name, an image, and some context. This is exactly what we'll be making. Let's look at some real-world examples, shall we? CSS-tricks is a very cool website where you can learn a bunch of web development tricks and stuff like that. What we're interested in are the article cards. There's a card holder and inside are some cards. And in fact, if you look closer, everything on this page is actually a card. Okay, let's look at Indeed now. Indeed is a website where people go to find jobs or post them. This is a shout out as well. It's a pretty big website and you should definitely be using it to find jobs near you. But if you notice, all the jobs are in a card format as well. These cards have a title and some context. Let's look at one more example. Instructables. If you don't know about this website, it's basically a collection of DIY projects with full tutorials. It has a vast diversity of content and personally, I like to often browse all the projects and cool ideas people come up with. But if you look closely, all the projects are also in card format. They have an image, a title, and some context. So if you haven't noticed, there's a common theme going on in all these examples. There's a container and inside there is some content. This content generally consists of an image, a title, and some info. And it's mostly being used as a way to advertise some content. A way for the user to get a small glimpse of the overall view of what's within. Before we begin this project, we will need a good template profile picture. You can either click one of yourself or do what I do and go to Pexels and look up profile pics. This will give you a collection of high quality photographs you can use for free. If you're a beginner in this field and you don't have the equipment to take awesome photos, this is where you should be. I'll leave a link to all the websites I'm talking about in the description, by the way. Go check them out. They're great resources. Also, this is not a sponsored video. I use these resources a lot and I just thought you might like them as well. Alright then, let's get into coding. You will be needing an index.html file and an index.css file. Also, put the photo in your project folder. We will be doing mobile first approach, meaning we will be making it on a smartphone screen and then translate it into a desktop screen. If you want to access mobile view, go to your browser and navigate to your developer tools. Then click on the icon that looks like a phone overlaid on a tablet. You might not get the frame, but your screen will be the size of a phone now. To get out of it, all you have to do is click it again. In your index.html file, make this template and then in your head, create a link tag pointing to your index.css. There will be quite a lot of CSS that we will be writing, so it's best to keep it separate from your HTML. Once you're done with that, go to your body. We will have an app div that will contain our entire code. In here, what we need is a card holder. This is a place where we will place all the cards. Let's design the card structure now. The idea is there will be a container called card. It will have a back and inside that we will have a front. The front will be divided into two segments. The first one is base. The base will contain context. In our case, a profile picture and a title. So make an image tag and set its source to the image you chose. Put some name in the title. I'm going with Batman's mother. The next thing front will have is the content. This is where you can write a description. I'm using 30 words of lorem ipsum as filler text because Martha here is very unimportant and I had to actually Google Batman's mother to find her name. That's all the HTML we'll be needing. If you open this in your browser, it should look pretty bad. Well, that's because we don't have any CSS. So let's get that going now. Firstly, use the star symbol to select everything in the root. Set the box sizing to border box. This essentially makes the size of all your elements include the border and the padding. Generally, when calculating the size, we exclude border and padding, but setting box sizing to border box, the calculation accounts for the border and padding sizes. Now set the body's margin to 0 and font family to Arial. The app will have a width of 100 VW and a height of 100 VH. Set the display to flex, align items to center, and flex direction to column. This will put everything at the center vertically and make the flow go downwards. Remember, we are doing mobile first approach. Set the background color to anything you want. I'm using a linear gradient to make it look spicy. Also set the color to white. Let's actually make the image smaller so that we can work with it. Set the image width and height to 15 VW. This looks much better already. Let's work on the card holder now. Set its Z index to 0 and width to 100%. Let's give it a transparentish background color. Let's also give it a top-bottom padding of 1 EM. And set the padding left to 0 EM. Also, set its display to flex direction to column, and align items to center. If you set the overflow Y to auto, it will provide a scroll bar anytime the card holder has too many cards inside. Let's also give it a box shadow to make it pop out. Head to your HTML and copy paste the entire card div into your card holder. Do this many times as well. We want some more cards in the holder to see how our CSS is working. This actually looks pretty fine. Let's add a before element to the card holder, and I want it to be a bar on the top of the card holder. Set its content to an empty string, display to block, position to absolute, top and left to 0. Actually, just copy what I'm doing. This is too much CSS to dictate. I'm also adding a top-bottom margin of 2 EM to the card holder. Now we want to select all but the first card inside the holder and apply a margin top of 50 pixels. Type card holder, card, colon, not, and colon first child. And then set its margin top to 50 pixels. This should apply some space between each card. This is a totally useless step, but I really want to show you how you could customize your scroll bars. Type ::webkit scroll bar. Set the background to anything you want. This is how you select the scroll bar in CSS. Let's also select the thumb and apply some background to it as well. Coming to the card itself, set its display to flex, justify content and align items to center. Set the perspective to 900 pixels, and since we're going to be animating it, transition to 0.2 seconds. On card hover, we want the Z index to be 1. The back will have a display of flex and center all the items inside. Let's give it a border radius of 1 EM and some box shadow as well. I'm giving it a linear background and adding some padding as well. We are going to be animating this, so give it a transition of 0.2 seconds. The front will have a width of 80 VW. Let's also give it a height of 70 VH. We actually do need a fixed size. Set the background color to something darker. Set the display to flex, align items to center, and flex direction to column reverse. Let's also set the background to the profile picture. If you set the background size property to cover, the image will fit into the container. Also set the background repeat to no repeat. Set the position to relative and overflow to hidden. Your project should start looking like something from now on. Apply a border radius of 1 EM and let's jump into base. We want its width to be 100% and some top-bottom padding. Give it a background color of RGB 32, 32, 32. Set the display to flex, justify content to space evenly, and align items to center. Give the image a border radius of 50%. This will make it circular. And set its cursor to pointer. We want to give the image a glow effect on hover as well. The title will have a font size of 1.2 rem. The content will have a width of 100%, color of RGB 200, 200, 200, text align to left, and just to be extra sure, set the display to flex, align items to center, and flex direction to column reverse. Let's give it a height of 100%, a dark transparent background color, set its transition to 0.2 seconds, also set the overflow to hidden. Let's also give it a padding of 1 EM to make the text not stick to the edge. If you set the backdrop filter to blur 2 pixels, it will blur the background image. Now set the opacity to 0, it will disappear. We only want the content to be visible if the mouse is over the card. So let's do that now. On front hover, set the content's opacity to 100%. We're essentially done with the mobile view. We now need to rewire some of the code to make it work with wider screens. We will use the media rule to specify the CSS that should be applied if the screen is larger than the certain values we provide. So type @media screen and in brackets min width 720 pixels. 720 pixels works pretty good since most mobile phones fall under that value. Feel free to change this as you want. Let's set the app's min height to 100 ph. The front will have a fixed width and height of 300 pixels and 400 pixels respectively. The image also needs to become smaller, so set its width and height to 4 rem. The card holder will now have a width of 90%. Set its padding top and bottom to 1 em and left to 2 em. Set the flex direction to row as well. Align items to center. Set the overflow Y property to visible and X to auto. We need to perform the select all but the first child thing and set its margin top to 0 and margin left to -50 pixels. This will make them overlap. On card hover, set transform to translate Z 100 pixels and rotate X to 10 degrees. We also need all the cards besides the card we selected to move by 70 pixels to the right. Type card:hover, click shift and that key above the tab and select the card. And then set the transform to translate X 70 pixels. Also set the Z index to 0. And that should be all for this video. Like, share and subscribe for more of this content, and feel free to make fun of me in the comment section, or be productive and tell me what topic you would like me to cover. I'm planning on doing a shout out sort of video where I want to share some amazing content that's out there for you guys to view. So if you want something mentioned in that video, leave it in the comments and I'll add it to my suggestions as well. So yeah, that's all for now I guess. Bye!